This is Chris Spangle here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway with Drew Powell, and we are talking to R.C. Enerson, who is the driver for a brand new team. Your team is like what? Less than 2 weeks old, really?
Yeah, like a week old.
A week old?
Our first day on track was Wednesday.
That's great.
Yeah, and you're one of the cool stories of the month because everybody thought, oh, well, they're certainly going to be on the bubble. They'll kind of be in the back row.
We were the first pick for sure.
Right, but you are in 28th position in the second to last row. How did you and the team get up to speed? Because you're a rookie too, so it's not like they have a veteran driver. How did you guys achieve that result?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still not quite certain how I still hold my rookie status. I did my first 3 races in 2016, and then it's just kind of been in and out. I did some stuff with Carlin, and then finally got that opportunity in 2021 with Top Gun. But, I mean, there was just no prep behind the car. We got the thing in boxes 38 days before our first practice from Dallara. And Roy Wilkerson, that man built that car that fast.
Wow.
And showed up, and we could only get to 227. That was all I had. I was flat every single lap of every single session I was here.
That's all you can do.
And it just didn't have any more speed.
Yep.
But this one, I mean, we finally got this in the works. I think it was in January. It was shortly after PRI when we kind of brought it up to John Bruner, the team manager. And we've had a long-standing relationship with him, and he was like, "Oh, let me see." We thought he was going to say no right away.
You were asking him what?
If he was interested in trying to run a 500 program with Able Motorsports.
Gotcha.
Nice.
And he was like, "Well, you got to talk to Bill, see if that's something that's in the cards."
And is this your engineer or?
This is the team manager for Able Motorsports.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
John Bruner. He's
because you're talking about your Indy Next team, and then you wanted to run an Indy 500 program.
Yeah, so, I mean, we've only known Bill and Jacob Abel through John Bruner, through Able Motorsports.
Gotcha.
So that was just kind of, we have our cars, and we were like, hey, well, can we make this an opportunity to run under Able Motorsports banner? And he was, because John Bruner, he's done the third Foyt car many, many times. I mean, he's been a team manager and since, I believe the 80s or 90s. Wow. I mean, he was with the Players team.
Yeah, that's kart days.
Yeah, kart days. So he's been around. I mean, everybody in the paddock knows him. But it was an effort to get the deal put together, and then they started prepping the car right in January, February.
Amazing.
And I remember going in the shop. I think it was in April, and I spun the front wheel, but it was before the wheel was on it. It was just the rotor, and that thing just didn't stop.
Oh no!
I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be good." This is going to be real good. I mean, they pulled the gearbox off the thing, too, and the gears were just burnt because you had to lower we were just trying to get any speed we could the 2 years prior. So, everything had been, that car had been prepped for 4 months
anywhere you did, it's like that's pretty much a victory already. Like, the fact that you could run and make the, Graham Rahal didn't make it.
I think we kind of had an idea who would be in bump day. I think a lot of people did coming into the month.
Yep.
And we, after watching Texas and just kind of how they've been, we kind of already knew the RLL cars might struggle.
Yeah.
But I wasn't expecting that from our car until I did ROP and I crossed the line on like my first lap. And I hadn't even hit full throttle yet, and it was 211. So I had to slow down more for phase 1.
Wow.
I'm like, I did the entire first phase like 50% throttle because this thing is just so quick. And then we get to phase 3, and I'm able to go flat all the way around. And we're running like 217s, 218s with race downforce on. I was like, we got a strong car.
Right.
That's got to feel good.
So that made qualifying kind of go poof out of my head. I think we got that pretty solid.
Yeah.
The real pain in the butt's going to be racing or driving in traffic.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's one of my questions. When you really don't have your single car team, there's not, you're not Alex Palou with Scott Dixon sitting next to you going, this is what you should think about. Are there other drivers or maybe past drivers that you've reached out to try and get an advice on what you ought to do on race day?
Yeah, I mean, Spencer Piggott, he's my spotter in turn 1.
Okay.
So he's done this race many times.
Nice.
So, I mean, even going into tomorrow morning, I'm going to be getting with him and going through all the video from Monday, which was my first day running in traffic, which I think we got a good car. It's just I need to figure out the whole – there's just a certain skill and a certain mentality you got to go about it. And they even told me, he's like, just get it out of your head that the car's ever going to feel good. Because it's just not.
Yeah.
And he's like, and when we start this race – you're going to get like 3 laps where you might be able to do something, and then you're just going to sit in a train and hope you don't burn your tires off and save fuel. So he's like, you're just going to have to hope lady luck and strategy kind of help fall your way. And I was like, well, that's not that bad of a mentality to go into the race. It makes it, I guess, less stressful on the driver when you know that everybody else is struggling just as hard as you are.
Yeah. Nobody has a quote-unquote good car. Everybody's just got their own problems.
Everybody's just slightly better than the other. Like, it's just, unless you're in the top 2 cars, those top 2, 3, if you only have 1 or 2 cars in front of you, the dirty air doesn't feel bad at all. It's the second you get 4 plus. And the second, starting to where I'm at, I have 27 cars in front of you. It's going to be a nightmare for the first set of tires or 2. But, I mean, we're excited. This group that he put together, they're all veterans of the 500. Every crew member, engineer,
that's helpful. Engineering
staff is stout. Yeah. I mean, they put together, we went into qualifying so confident and just kind of put it together.
That's great. Well, I'm the actor of the group, so we've been asking everybody, who plays you in the movie, if you had to choose?
That's a hard one. I'm really not sure.
All right. Well,
it's just too much to pick from.
I know there's a lot. I mean, let's see.
He's a handsome man.
Yeah.
He could be like, don't take offense, but he looks a little bit like a younger you. Yeah, like if high school age.
So I'm going to play you when you win Indy at 40. That's going to be me, but we'll pick the younger version of you.
You're racing for Jay Penske.
Taylor Lautner.
Right.
Yeah, I've heard that one before. Good. I've heard there's an Xfinity driver, Curry. And somebody came and ran up to me from the Chevy team, and they came like, has anybody told you look exactly like him? I was like, I don't even know what he looks like. And they showed me a picture. I was like, oh, man.
That is long lost brother.
That's not bad. I've gotten a few different ones, like at the racing schools and stuff like that. They'll be like, you look just like this person. I've gotten a few of them.
Yeah, man. All right, well, good. Well, I'm putting my hand in.
I'll let you guys take
the 40-year-old.
Yeah, please.
Winner.
So tell us about your career path here, like coming up to IndyCar. What are some highlights that you had, and how did you know you wanted to be a race car driver?
I mean, I guess it all started with kind of my dad at first. He grew up. He graduated out in high school out of the South Side here.
Oh, nice!
And he's been coming to the 500 with his parents, my grandparents, since I believe the 70s or maybe even late 60s. So it's always kind of been in the blood, like being a race fan. And I mean, my first 500 was when I was 3.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And I believe
that was like
Scott Dixon and
2012?
Tony Kanaan and Elio's first 500s type thing.
I knew it would be insultingly recent.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
So it was. I mean, we still have pictures from it that we keep putting up and stuff like that. It's crazy.
That is wild.
And
you're racing with all those.
And my parents moved to Florida before I was ever born. And when I was, I think 2 or 3 years old, 4 years old, I was really into those Hot Wheels cars. Boxes and cases, like all those cases and cases, and it was like my mom had drove past like a dirt oval go-kart track, and they're like, he likes racing so much, why don't you get him a go-kart and see if he likes it? And there's a little dirt track over here. My dad was like, nope, I grew up in Indianapolis. If he's racing on asphalt.
Yeah.
And got me a go-kart from Comet Kart Sales, which is out of Newcastle, I believe, here.
Yeah.
Is their deal. And he put it together in the garage, started out 4 years old. You can't race until you're 5. So at 4 years old, I'm just going up and down the street where they'd stand on each side.
Just a little menace on the street.
And, to be quite honest, karting all the way up until I was about 10 or 11 was more or less a hobby. Even though we were karting at the national level, it was more or less a hobby that me and my dad would go do on every weekend.
Nice.
And got better and better at it, but it was never really the greatest karter. And then I got into a racing school. I got into a car when I was 12. And that's kind of where the light bulb switched in my head. I think just things in a car made more sense to me rather than a kart, because there are fundamentally just so different on driving style. And it just, things clicked in my head and went into USF 2000 at 15 years old, 2012. Did 3 years of it. Almost won the championship the last year. Finished second, and that was when we were running our own team for it. So we were trying to compete with Cape Motorsports, who was like the gods of the Van Diemen F2000 era. They won like, I think, 8 out of the last 10 championships with that car.
Amazing.
And we gave them a run for their money, and that was when the new lights car was coming out. And that was when there was still the old Star Mazda car, which it was only like 6/10 quicker than the USF 2000 car.
Jeez.
So it was like, why would we go jump up to 6/10 quicker when there's a new lights car coming out that kind of resets it for everybody?
Yeah.
And everybody's got to learn a new car, so why not make it there? And we skipped that and went into lights. Did really well. Ran the Freedom here. Our team finished 1, 2, 3, 4, and won Mid-Ohio. Did a number of podiums. We really podiumed mostly on the ovals.
Yeah.
But had a really strong year and then came back again for the next year and just engine issues, all kinds of mechanicals, found ourselves out of the championship and got approached by Dale Coyne to do 3 races.
Let's go.
And was like, okay, let's go do that.
Yeah. Good
Yeah.
choice.
And so my first races were in 2016. I was 19. So I was at the time I was the youngest since Marco.
Right.
And then
That's
now
something.
it's just all 19,
Yeah,
20
yeah,
year olds.
yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like,
You started a trend, bro.
yeah, it kicked
Yeah.
down the door for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, we were really strong in those races and tried to get a full-time 2017 ride and just didn't happen. And it's just been in and out.
Yeah.
I've been kind of driving everything. I've done some NASCAR stuff.
Sure.
I've done some IMSA stuff and then IndyCar. So it's kind of been through everything.
Yeah.
All right, look for car number 50, RC Enerson, on race day. Best of luck to you.
Thanks a lot.
Go
Thank
get
you.
him, buddy.